All right, we are live, and the New York Mets, for the 51st time this season, have brought their season back from the dead after it died with a 2-game sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Shout out to the Buccos. Shout out to the fucking... I'm convinced Buck Showalter Jedi mind tricked the Pirates into canceling the game just so then he could get a doubleheader on Wednesday, whatever it did on Monday without an ounce of rain. That was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Nonetheless, the New York Mets are back in business, back in first place. The Atlanta Braves, the air for a day, are back in second place where they belong.
Back where they belong, those bums. How did it feel? How does it feel to have first place for about 12 hours, you fucking hillbillies?
All that for a drop of blood? Little Thanos.
Well, I think we've probably been in first place for probably 160 days straight. So enjoy your little taste of first place for a day. You ain't getting it back. Ain't getting it back. We had Seabass on the mound, followed by Jake. Just an absolute 1-2 punch. Let me tell you something. If Chris Bass is going to be doing 7 innings, fucking no runs, 10 Ks, whatever he had, watch the fuck out, because you know what you're getting with Jake. As soon as Max can bounce back, you know what you're getting with him. If it's going to be a 3-headed monster also against that schedule, forget about it. And everybody who jumped, you're not allowed back on. Everybody who bailed, I put the tweet out there. I said, leave your comment right here, step up and put your money where your mouth is and say, this series loss cost them the division. And I had a lot of motherfuckers, Mets fans, Mets logos, Mets names, all that shit, saying, I think this cost them the division. They lost it. They're pathetic, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to remind each and every one of you motherfuckers that you're not invited to the parade and you shouldn't even be able to celebrate during the postseason because you're all frauds. You're all pussies and you're all frauds. Honestly, what is even the point of watching if when it comes down to the final 25-game pennant race, you just call your team pathetic and roll over and die as a fan? What is the point? I said it before. You guys, you suck as people. It's not that you're bad fans. I think you're bad people. I think you don't have any resiliency, and I think probably everything else you just roll over and die and cry about it. You're all fucking whiny crybabies, and I wish I could purge you from the fan base.
We sweep the doubleheader, and we win 10-0, and the first thing Frank tweets is, oh, I'm surprised they didn't use Edwin Diaz there and get him some work. I'm like, are you fucking stupid, man? I can't believe you guys are still any joy in your life that you're going to sit there for, 7, 8, 9 hours out of your day watching baseball, and then that's what you come up with after you fucking sweep and take the division back? What is the end goal? The end goal is what? They need to sweep the World Series in order for him to be happy? What are you doing?
I God bless anybody who still follows and looks at Frank the Tank. I mean, I don't know what you guys are doing. You know exactly what you're going to get. You know the shtick. It's God bless Clem for I can't even imagine what that man's timeline would look like without those bets, without the bets. But I mean, you're terrible. You're all like Frank. And I get so many other tweets that are thank you for speaking for the rational fan. And I'm sure a lot more regular people are not on social media and all that. But every vocal fan, the vast majority of vocal fans, you're just the worst. You're absolutely awful. You're an embarrassment. It makes me embarrassed to be a Mets fan. I have no problem saying that the Mets fan base is one of the worst fan bases out there because of people like you. It's just constant complaining and whining. We lost one series. One. We had one 3-game losing streak. The minimum amount of losses to have a streak happened, and you all bail. What is that? I would love to actually sit down with some of them and be like, what is it? Because Frank always says, well, I'm so battered from years before. And it's that doesn't play anymore. That's gone. That may have
he saw a World Series. He was 9 years old for 1986. So all this shit, we're more miserable than him.
Right. That's me and Clem have always said our age group and anybody basically before us, but it's certainly we have it the worst, me and Clem, him the worst because he's a little bit older than me. Clem is the oldest you can be without remembering 86, right? You're right there. If you were a little bit older, you would probably have some faint memories of you and your parents were watching together. But you are Clem is the most miserable Mets fan alive, and anyone who's his age. And then from there, it gets less and less and less and less. But someone like me, his entire life has gone World Series-less. So we all have it worse. I had it worse than and just as bad as the 100-year Cubs and the 86-year Red Sox. It's like, I don't give a shit about what happened before my life. As long as there's never been a World Series in my life, that means I'm the most miserable I can be as a human. And but that being said, like that, if you can't separate that and recognize what Cohen is and recognize the difference in what we have here, like that doesn't play anymore. Grow up. Stop being a child. Stop being like, well, we used to lose. Well, we're not now. Shut the fuck up.
And we come back, we go out, we take care of business, absolutely just thrash them the fuck down. And you said it, Kev. Frank's like, I was put to bed before I could watch the, winning game of the World Series. Well, the next day and the day after that and the day after that, you had that post-World Series glow. My first memory as a Mets fan was waking up and finding out Mike Scioscia ripped the Mets' hearts out in 1988. So that's my first memory as a Mets fan. Born in the darkness, and I'm fucking Bane. I'm coming and I'm breaking motherfuckers' backs whenever we could goddamn get a title. And when we get a title, we are going to be drinking Coors Light because it's been there for us in the Wilpon days where everyone's still crying about it. They're doing their copium about the Wilpon stuff all the way to now when we're doing cake, punch, and Coors Light. That's right. Our summer chill starts with Coors Light. We're going to be going from summer to fall drinking Coors Light. That's the kind of Mets season you guys should get used to now because that's what we're going to have. So make the most of your summer with a chance to win exclusive chill merch, fun local experiences, even a trip to New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. Enter to win at CoorsLight.com/believe. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends September 18, 2022. All 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., 21 and older only. For prohibited for rules, visit CoorsLightSummer.com. And when we are at the Canyon of Heroes, and we will be at the Canyon of Heroes one day. I said November 2nd. I don't know if that's even possible. I think that might be game 3 of the World Series at this point. But maybe the other team just waves the white flag and they say, we're done. This team is a fucking wag. We don't want to mess with it anymore. And when we're down there, we're going to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Kev, you kind of went on. You went like you went at the. I like when you go at the people on Twitter. When you go at the Twitter people on Twitter, because on the podcast there is definitely a disconnect of people who are like, I don't know what the fuck Twitter is.
Yeah,
the people on Twitter, they're living that shit, and you take the receipts. You got everyone in the mention saying Kunzel decisin or this team is cooked, all that kind of stuff. Our boy Rico, did you see Rico's open letter? It was beautiful. Something. So beautiful. I don't know if I could read it on the. I'll try to read it on the pod without making it like a Mike Francesa thing. Actually, it kind of was a little bit like the old Mike Francesa, the George Steinbrenner missives when they played the fucking Yankee Doodle Dandy in the background. Yeah. And this was our guy Rico, diehard Mets fan. He'll be one of the people who will be battling Frank in the fucking the live streams come October. The headline: a demand to Mets fans: get in the foxhole or go fucking home.
And if I, before you even get started, if I could just make one critique or one observation, he's asking you to get into the foxhole of a 85 and 50 team or whatever the fuck they are. 87 and 51. He's asking you to get in the foxhole of a team that's probably going to win 104 games. That's not even a foxhole, but continue.
Yeah, exactly. So, and by the way, Mets are 1 win away from 2007. I don't want to hear about 2007 ever again because I watched 2007, which, by the way, was 15 years ago. Phil, how old were you 15 years ago?
15 years ago, 9. So
Phil was a 9-year-old. I feel like Phil was born with a beard for some reason, so he had a beard 9 years when he's 9 years old. But nonetheless, Phil was still his brain was still developing at that point, and people are acting like it was yesterday. Shut the fuck up to all the 2000s. The 2007ers are the next people I'm coming for. And we got the Lindorks, we got the Ed Losers. Now the 2007 fucking Chicken Littles. They're the next one I'm killing.
On this date in 2007, the Mets were 79 and 61. So
and we were like, but okay, you know what? Before you read Rico, that is what I've been saying all along. There is one thing. One difference, and it's the Braves being unbelievably good. Yep. When we were 79 and 61, we were 8 games up or something on the Phillies or the Braves or whoever it was, and we were just riding high and having a grand old time because it doesn't really matter what your record is. It matters what your competition is. And so if this team was in the 2007 division, I mean, we'd be up at 25 games and we'd be, we wouldn't even be watching games. The offense goes to sleep every now and then. You deal with a couple injury scares. Other than that, the only thing that you could say is wrong, bad about this season has nothing to do with the Mets. It's just to do with the second place team. They happen to be playing at a 115 win clip. I mean, they're winning 73% of their games. They're 47-7 against teams under 500 since June 1st. They just massacre bad teams. Now, when they play good teams, they're just like a 500 team, but they just do not lose to bad teams. And there's more bad teams than good teams. You do the math. If they can, and I'll be honest, as much as I'm thumping my chest, and I will stick to what I said, and I believe the Mets will win the division. If your competition plays at a 115 win pace from June till October, you're not going to win the division. You're just not. I mean, I would have no problem coming in second place to a team who played at a historic clip for four or five straight months or whatever it is. It's just, it's and there's really no reason to think it's going to stop. I kept being like, the Braves have to slow down. When it's June, July, August, it's going to be September too. So if that happens, that happens. But that is the only difference. It's not the Mets. It's the Braves.
And by the way, the team that came on in 2007, that, the Mets, again, the 2006 Mets, they were like a peacetime team. They had no one behind them in 2006. That's why we all remember 2006 so fondly. They weren't on a 100-win team. They just had nobody who was even close to like challenging them. The team that challenged them in 2007, punched them in the mouth, took their lunch money and left them for dead, was the Phillies, that went on, won a World Series the next year, and fucking faced the Yankees in the World Series after that. And I thought they were going to
dominated the division for like 5 straight years.
I thought they were going to win like 10 World Series when they had Halladay and they had Oswald. They had just that filthy picking Cliff Lee, Hamill. I mean,
it's amazing they only got one.
And I'm not even mentioning Howard, Rollins, and Utley, who were honestly right up there with
Worth. All those guys.
God, I'm getting like gross goosebumps.
They were awesome. They were awesome, man. I remember in 07 kind of being like, I was playing the whole, like, you guys aren't even our rival. Like, the Braves are our rival, trying to put down the Phillies. And then in, like, dark corners being like, oh, my God, all these guys are so fucking awesome. Like, obviously the stars, the Rollins and the Howards, but it was the Worths and the Victorinos and all those guys that it was like, oh, fuck. Like, everybody can hit in this lineup.
They were.
And by the way, you said that it's insufferable on Twitter. WFAN has to have like the worst outlook in the history of this company existing, because when you have Salicata and Keith McPherson as like the voice of reason, where he's dunking on Mets fans, meanwhile the Braves would have blown past the Yankees by now, and Salicata is complaining about every little intricacy of the Mets season and saying that they've collapsed. Like, you're supposed to be the knowledgeable one who's like talking the callers off the ledge. Meanwhile, these two guys are the guys who are like calling in.
Well, Salicata, somebody tried to put me on the Salicata level because I was thumping my chest after the Dodgers series, declaring the division over. And if you want to say that, you can say that. Obviously, I went super high, and then right away they fucking lose 3 games to the worst team in the league. So, of course, you can call it the mush. You can call me Salicata, whatever. What Salicata did back in fucking like May was insane. I don't care. You can be 100 games up and declaring, the series, the season over is insane. And then to only come back and nitpick and flip flop. It's like, but that anybody who's still like the nature of call-in radio always has been and always will be shock jock type shit, especially now more than ever when they, podcasts and the internet are like cutting into their industry. They've got to just be absolutely absurd and
they are. And they're like the most budget bin, first take.
Right. And that's exactly what it is.
In the morning.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll get into our very rational friend Rico Bosco here, who always has his wits about him and is never reacts too crazy. Who, by the way, was an A+ WFA caller back in the day.
One of the best.
I was gonna have Rico on, but I was gonna be weird to have him read his own letter here, so I figured we do the little missive like it was the George Steinbrenner. To my Mets fan family, this message comes in a time of struggle. Now, this was written before the doubleheader yesterday. The New York Mets have lost 3 in a row by a combined score of 22-4 to the lowly Nationals and Pirates. Division lead is now non-existent. The Atlanta Braves have continued a red-hot streak and are tied for the division lead. Mets fans are in panic. We have a Frank the Tank TikTok that I will not watch. Even myself, I am making snide comments.
People say to me, did you see Frank's video? No. The answer to that question will forever be no.
Do you know what bleach tastes like? No idea. Even myself, I am making snide comments, and Rico says, good news, the Mets are up 10 games in the wild card after this loss. Very, good one right here. When I woke up today, my attitude has officially changed. No more doom and gloom. No more the sky is falling. No more Duaner Sanchez cab accident. No more 2007 blown lead. No more 2008 blown lead. No more death by contact Royals. No more Connor Gillespie. Looking in the past will doom us. Looking to the future will doom us. Live in the present. The Mets have two absolute horses at the top of their rotation. Quickly gets alerted about Scherzer going to the IL. Correction. The Mets have an absolute horse at the top of their rotation. Jacob deGrom has been nails this season. A ridiculous second half when you look at the stats.
He's insane. The numbers are bananas, dude. Like I know that his injuries and his number of starts will always be the knock on him. But I genuinely believe when you just ask me who was the best to ever take the mound and throw the ball, I think it's Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, he said pitchers with at least 55 strikeouts and 3 walks or fewer in a month. And the last person to do that, Jacob deGrom in August, by the way. We came back from his injury. And then SNY flashed his stat last night. Jacob deGrom allowed 1 or fewer runs in 100 of 204 career starts. I've watched Jacob deGrom's entire career. I don't know if I've missed a start. I had no idea.
Dude, I did. I mean, I did. It's like it's always been
crazy.
It's always been 50% of his starts. It used to be, I think, like 2 or less, and then he just kept tacking on 1 run or less. His win percentage should be like 90. Not even joking. Like if he just had a regular team behind him, the fact that his win total, he could be. He's one of the most injured pitchers like ever as far as the greats go, and he still should have had 300 wins based on how much he fucking pitches. Like he shouldn't. It should be a possibility for him based on how many 1 or 0 run starts he gives you. That's the minimum amount of runs you can give up. It's fucking insane.
It's crazy. Reminder: deGrom isn't a flash in the pan pitcher. He's made a living being the filthiest pitcher in the league the last 8 years, and so stats. So even Scherzer on the IL in our offense going in the Mrs. Purse report. I'm urging and pleading Mets fans to decide right now whether you're in the foxhole or not. If you think this is just another year, the same old Mets, or part of cancel culture, which I like that was cancel culture, then just give up now. Go put on your football team of choice, read books during the week, and we'll see you for 2023. That negative attitude isn't going to work here. It also shows you haven't watched this team and noticed all the details that make them enjoyable and likable. Since the opening week when Buck Showalter wasn't afraid to mix it up with interdivision rivals, remember when Lindor got hit in the head and fucking Buck, that was the only time Buck really lost his shit.
Yeah.
He instilled an identity in this team to be hard-nosed, play tough, and do the little things. All season they have listened. All season they make productive outs, take the extra base, limit mistakes, score after the other team scores, whether it's tie a game, retake lead, or get insurance run after the opponent chips into the lead. They drive up pitch counts, especially early in the game. It feels like every first inning the opposing pitcher is at 20 to 25 pitches. They don't swing at bad pitches. They rally to win games after a loss. They rally to come back to win games. They seem to like each other in the clubhouse, and most importantly, they are good fundamental baseball players. I was against Buck being hired solely because he refused to walk Jeter with an open first base in his final home game, which again, very rational Rico Bosco right there. But after 136 games, it's pretty evident he was the right guy for the job. He's exactly what this group needed. Now, this part I love too. My other minus Mets fans is this. 1, winning the division is supposed to be hard. 2, the Braves are the defending World Series champions. Let's start with number 2 first. Teams just don't roll over. Did you expect the Braves, with a lineup of young stars like the goddamn Disney Channel in the early 2000s, to just play dead? I didn't. You knew they would fight. You knew they had the talent to make a run. This is how division races go. Look around baseball, which brings me back to my first point. Winning a division is hard. Look at the Yankees, who played insanely well all year and have, at that point, just a 4.5 game lead today. That's not a knock on the Yankees. Baseball's a long season. Shit happens. Teams make up games. Teams get hot, get injured. Shit happens. In closing, two other things to consider are these. The first is this. The New York Mets have made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons just twice. One of those is a bit fugazi anyway. In 2015, they made the World Series. In 2016, they made the playoff game. That's not really a playoff game.
That doesn't even count.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The only other time they made the playoffs was back in 99 and 2000. This is not a team with a storied history of success. It doesn't mean we shouldn't root any less hard or give up as fans, but let's call a spade a spade. Successful seasons aren't exactly in our DNA, which is more of a reason why we should enjoy the moment, cherish the good players, cherish the good games, and get behind a team in a fight for their lives. Lastly, the Mets have been bad to sort of bad to underachieving for the last 8 years. In some of those years, we longed for meaningful September games. We have them now. Embrace them, live and die with every pitch, rally for the team, and take down this division from the godforsaken motherfucking Braves who've haunted us for the last 25 years. Then we have a, hit the music followed by a song. Then there's a PS, though. For all the shit Frank the Tank talks, I offered him a bet. if the Mets win the division, he would have to give up his fandom for 1 year and root for the Yankees. He got real quiet and sat down and didn't say a word. Shows he didn't want that smoke. LFGM, Rico Bosco.
I mean, Frank always backs down when you really put the money on the line. Everyone knows that he's a coward. He'll do Twitter bets and shit. But, when it comes to a pink slip bet or a loser gets out of town bet, he always bails. And I'll take it a step further. I don't mean this in a like a rollover way. I still think I maintain that the Mets will win the division. Also, get behind them fucking for the wild card too. The Braves, when it's all said and done, I think will be the best team in baseball. And God willing, like I think the Mets will win the division, and I think if the season was like 170 games long, I think the Braves would win it. I think they're just that good, and they had that bad of a start. So if they make the playoffs as the wild card, and we don't get the bye, it's also something to cherish and embrace and love because, like he said, we don't make the playoffs often, and if we do make it this year, history would tell you that we're not going to even make it next year. The back-to-back-to-back sustained seasons of postseason play it's never been there. And we hope that's what's there with Cohen. And that's actually what Epler and them are trying to build, despite the fact that we're stamping our feet and yelling about the trade deadline. What they're trying to do is put together those sustained seasons because the way to win a World Series is just to knock on the door season after season after season until it happens. So even if it is the wild card, even if it comes down to the end of September and the Braves win by a game, I don't want to hear it then either. I don't want people jumping off the bandwagon then either because it's still making the playoffs. It's still going to be probably over 100 wins. And if it happens to be one of those divisions, one of those historic divisions, like the Dodgers and the Giants last year or the Dodgers and the Giants back in like 91 or whatever it was, then fucking so be it. That's the Mets' life. That's the Mets' curse. The 1 year we happen to win 104 games is the time that we have someone who was 105. That's, them's the breaks. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad season. It doesn't mean that they're pathetic. It doesn't mean that it's unacceptable. Just because there once was a big lead doesn't mean that it was some sort of collapse. It just happens to be that you had you're awesome and there was a more awesome team in your division. You're still in the postseason. You're still making a march for the World Series. So fucking act like it.
Girl, I guess that's basically the long story.
Well, I do wonder that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm just like arguing with like a 15-year-old right now. Like, what am I even doing? Like, it's like I figure if you are of weird Mets every night on Twitter that you're probably also watching every night and everything. But I don't know. Maybe these are people who just check like the box score and tune in for an inning here and there, or they're 12 years old and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And here I am. It's like genuinely bad for my health. I've already decided next year, if we win the World Series, I'm done as a baseball fan. If we like make it or have a good postseason run, like I'll always be there. But I can't do another season on Twitter. I'm not bailing now because people would be like, "Where are you?" and you're a coward and all that. Next year, I'm not doing it. It's genuinely bad for my health. I'm like a worse person because of it.
And by the way, the path for success is very different for the Braves than it is for the Mets. The Braves need to win the division because they don't want to face off against the Dodgers in the first round because the Dodgers play the same brand of baseball as them and they have good pitching. So like you're facing a team that hits home runs, scores a lot of runs, and also has good pitching. If it's the Mets can beat anybody because the pitching matches up with everybody and they find other ways to win. If they're playing head-to-head against a team that's the same as them, the Braves have a much less chance of even making it out of the divisional round if they're the wild card team. The Mets, though, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, I was actually thinking that the other day. Like, if you're going to win the World Series, you got to win a divisional round. You got to do 7-game championship series and a 7-game World Series. Adding a 3-game wild card series, like if you already are, like, let's say you're destined to be a World Series winner, I don't know if that makes that much of a difference. You got to get hot for like a full month, whether you have that first few days as a bye or not. And when you are a team like the Mets, where it's like we're gonna just try to fucking death by 1,000 base hits you with good starting pitching and the best closer in baseball. I don't know if it matters. I really don't. I mean, like, of course there are better matchups.
They go on streaks. That's the problem for them. So then when you run into another team that's also streaky, you're fucked.
Right. Or if they haven't gone on any cold streaks, but, it's going to just be another month of wear and tear on Acuna and another month of pitchers, throwing pitches, like, getting their pitch count up, and people who, eventually have to slow down a little bit, I think. I don't know. But whereas the Mets, it's like, I would imagine if the Mets have postseason success, it'll be like they win in 5 games, they win in 7 games, and they win in 7 games. Because they're not going to win 4 straight. They're not going to blow your doors off. They're not going to be a World Series winner that, wins like 11 games in a row. They're going to be like 1-2, 1-1, 2-2, 2-3, 3-2, 3. That's how they play. And that's, I think, actually better built for the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. And we're saying all this. The smart people, the people who crunch the numbers, the Barstool Sportsbook, for example, Mets minus 182 to win the division, plus Braves plus 140 still.
I don't get that at all. And this actually brings up a discussion that we have to have. We have to talk about it. We have to have
going to Kangaroo Court, boys.
Going to Kangaroo Court.
I didn't know if you were going to do this. I didn't want to do this to him, but
we got to talk about it. Kangaroo Court. It's brought to you by Game Time.
Brought to you by Game Time. That's right, Game Time. We love our Game Time. What is Game Time? It is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price as the exclusive ticketing app for Barstool. They cracked the code on how to score last-minute deals on how to score deals on last-minute tickets. How do you get your deal? Go download the Game Time app and redeem code BELIEVE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. You can go live that Stu Finer life, have the Stu Finer seats without paying Stu Finer prices, whether you're rooting for or against the Mets to win the division, which we'll get into in a minute. We have when's the next home game? They're on the road here, and then
Monday they're back.
Monday they're back. So you go get yourself a nice ticket, welcome the boys back home, sit behind first base, third base, and get a good view thanks to our friends at Game Time. We love our friends at Game Time. All right, Kev, let it be known now.
All right. We learned something yesterday, and I'm not gonna just flip out because I understand that this is the way some people operate. I understand we are a gambling company, and there are a lot of people who like to responsibly gamble on all sorts of teams. Do you believe in the emotional and the financial hedge? Is the question. Can you bet on the Braves? Can you bet on the Yankees? Can you bet against your team's opponent and then still wholeheartedly root for them? Now, here's the reason why I'm not actually fully upset. If Clem did this, if Kyle did this, if Pavs did this, almost if anybody else in the world that I knew did this, I would legit kick them off this show. I would legitimately be like, you are not here. Me, and I understand why, because I think these numbers are fucking insane. I think it is nuts that the Mets are minus anything, let alone a decent chunk. The fact that you can get the Braves right now, who are the right now that it's like a 65-35 prediction from whatever fucking
Fangraphs. This is Fangraphs. 63 Mets, 37 Braves to win the division right now.
63% chance, and the Braves, who are playing again. I reiterate, at a 115 win clip, only have a 37% chance when they are basically tied for the division lead right now. I think that is nuts. If you are a gambler, that is the play. If you want to make money, that is the play. Meek is the one guy in the world that I think can throw down some cash and then still give 100% of his heart to the New York Mets. Everybody else who does that and says, no, it's okay, I still root for the Mets, I won't ever root for the Braves, or I won't root for the Yankees. When it's the bottom of the ninth and it's 2 strikes and the Mets are playing the Braves or whatever it is, and the Mets are winning and they beat the Braves and you lose your money, there's a part of your body that goes like, fuck, I just lost whatever your unit is. Or the other way around. When the Mets lose, final strike, game 7, it's over. And you win some money. There's a part of you celebrating while the New York Mets are in the dumps. And I can't have that. You're lucky that you are the only guy I genuinely believe on this planet Earth that can do both. That can make a financial investment, but also continue to 100% root for the Mets. Anybody else, I'd say, you cannot do that. Get off my show. You're not a real fan. Get away from me. I want to see where the other guys fall on this, and maybe the chat and people on Twitter. So it's a hotly debated issue.
The Braves were plus 270 when I put one.
That is great value.
I put a unit on the Braves to win the division at plus 270. Now, in my mind, I'm essentially buying us a division title like Steve Cohen is. Because I'm being a mush here. I'm
one time that I did this. The Patriots Rams Super Bowl was when I had fully rolled over and let the Pats pet my belly. I had tipped my cap and called them my daddy. Like, I was done. It's not even a thing to fight the Pats at that point. And I opened up my Venmo and I said, let's place a bet on the Pats to win. And either we mush it, I mush it, because now the only thing that is worse for me, my mush is like mushes my heart and my emotions. The only thing that my mush hurts more is my fucking bank account. Okay. So I said, either we mush them and they lose and we're happy and everybody just loses, $25, $50, $100, whatever they put in. Or if they win, I will take all that money and donate it to charity. And they won, and I gave it all to Gunnar Esiason and the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and that was that. But that's the only time I've ever even fucked around with betting on my rival or my hated teams or whatever. Otherwise, I've never even touched that. The people who say, bet on them because then, then some way you hedge and you win. Like, no. When your team loses, you have to feel it the whole fucking way through. And when your team wins, I don't want any little part of me going, oh, man, I just lost $1,000 or whatever it may be. You ride or die. But I genuinely believe
Zero part of me will be happy if the Braves win the division.
Right. I actually believe that.
And realistically, if I end up getting if I end up winning that bet and I use the money, that's just going to my NFL bets every Sunday. So
yeah, I mean, it's all it all ends up in Penn's pocket eventually.
Exactly.
But I myself, like, people tell me that I should bet. People say a lot to me that, like, I should bet because then I could be on the live streams because then I'll be invested. Brother, I don't need to be any more invested. Like, money would not make me invested more. It really wouldn't. I mean, it would be like, I suppose, of course, if I won a ton of money on top of winning the World Series, it would be that much better. But we're talking about being like 110% invested versus 100%. There is no part of me that is like, oh, I need to up the stakes. In my entire existence from the day I was born has been being a Mets fan in Yankee territory and trying to overcome that. That is my journey and my quest and my destiny. And if it ever happens, that will be the important. So I don't need the extra hate or love. We don't need extra stakes here. I don't need bulletin board material in the form of a bet. Some people do, and I guess go ahead. But I don't think that. I mean, Meek is a bizarre level of dedication to this team. The average Joe being like, yeah, I also put down 500 on the Braves. No. Fuck you. You're not a true fan. You just can't be, because the every other person's brain is programmed to think money is the most important thing in the world. It just is. And there's only a handful of sick fucks in this world, and you're looking at them, that prioritize a group of random adult men that you can't control at all, scoring fictional points in a made-up game. And that's what matters the most to us. So I will let it slide, but I want it known that if it was anybody else in the world, I would absolutely kick you off of the show.
And I was about to say, this wasn't the first time. I did this in 2019 with the Yankees because I actually thought that team was winning the World Series.
That might be worse.
And look, I'm not going to say how much I bet, but just seeing that clip of just Hubs and all those guys being sad as fuck on the live stream, that was worth the price to me than anything else.
That's the other thing too. If you told me you bet like $5,000 on the Braves, I wouldn't believe you. I'd be like, that's no. Your heart and your mind would be too worried about that kind of money. So it's a small enough amount of money that it's like, it's not that big of a deal if you loses it. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's like the old MasterCard commercials, like seeing Carabas dance on Yankee fans' faces after Chapman gives up another walk-off, priceless. Like, there's not a price tag you can put on that. But I think, to me, like, I can actually see more. It's more understanding to me to say, I've been watching the Braves all year. They're, like, in my mind, one of the best baseball teams of all time. I can get them at plus 270. I understand that. Versus betting on the Yankees, to me, is like, I could never I can never root for to
I'm
feel
also
excited
a mush
for an Aaron
when I
Judge
bet.
home run. I would rather put a bullet in my head.
When I bet, I'm a mush. So I'm not gonna say how much I'm down. I bet I haven't placed an actual wager since March Madness. So
Because you're just down and
because I'm
you
just
can't.
down. That's
Always please bet responsibly.
Yeah, bet responsibly. I always do. It's
that Meek knows when to pull it back. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to be another L for you and your wallet.
I'm begging it for
God willing.
I really want to lose money responsibly.
I as someone else as one of the other judges on the Kangaroo Court, I also absolve our friend Meek Phil here because I've seen the stuff he writes in the group chat about what he wishes upon everyone associated with the Atlanta Braves franchise. There is no part of that man that wants success.
I've considered saying in the group chat, this is bad juju. Like if there are sports gods, they're gonna go against us because of the horrendous things Phil is saying about members of other teams.
Phil lives in a dark corner of the internet. I was seeing that's why he's perfect for his job. He knows what's going on. The guy watches Pittsburgh Pirate games for fun. If you want to know what kind of a sick fuck,
I had Nats Cardinals on last night. I have all the games on. I don't miss anything with MLB. So
that's crazy, dude. Kyle, where do you stand?
I think it's a wartime crime that you're betting on the Braves. The fact that at the end of the day there could be any type of compensation that goes into your fucking pocket.
Yeah, I'll say
the Braves win. That is I can't even. When it's Paulie's walking through the door in Goodfellas and the door closes behind him, then he gets shot in the head. That is the level of us walking through the door and getting shot in the head, and you're just well, I'm going to be the next made man. That is the level of it because
I think he should have to take that money.
You have to live with yourself and every Braves fan going, you have money in your pocket because our team took the division. What could he do, Kyle? What could he do with that money?
Good question.
I think
I don't think fire.
I mean,
the Joker style.
Joker.
That might be what you have to do. If the fact that you said there's money in your pocket. What if it's not in his pocket? That's why I said I would take the Patriots winnings. Right. I don't want it. That's gross money.
I'll put it to charity. I don't care. If that's what I have to do.
We'll pick a charity or light it on fire or you spend it on something that tortures Frank the Tank. What about that?
Yeah.
What about you spend a few $100 on a person?
We'll have to workshop this. This is a good idea, though.
This is in a perfect world, I do not win anything. So
I know I'm dating myself, but in The Wire where he walks him into the room to then be murdered by the other guy.
Yeah.
That is honestly what it feels like because it's something where we've been in this war the entire season all together, and then you're hey guys, by the way, at the last minute possible. You're the fucking guy from Saving Private Ryan who lets the other guy get shot.
That's
where I'm at.
I will say this. If Frank finds out, Phil, you're going to have a lot.
No. Let me go a step further. Back in 2018 when the Mets had a 5-22 June, I could probably pull up my tweets to Frank where I was telling him, Frank, if the Mets make you this miserable, just bet against them. And you could have been I forgot how profitable you could have been if you just bet against the Mets in June of 2018.
He'll never do it, though. He never
would. I always tell him to do it.
But wait, I cut out there. My idea was to hire somebody to torture Frank somehow. Here's a couple $100 and you have to come into the office and just sit right next to him. And blooper. That's it. I might contribute to that fund for you, Meek. If this happens, we take your money and I will supplement it and we hire Blooper to come to the office and torture Frank.
I don't want any of this to happen. I want the Mets to win the division.
I know, but
this is doomsday plan.
I know, but listen, this is you started this.
It's on me, but I have no regrets.
And then we can kick the shit out of Blooper too, because then he's in our fucking world, and then we just leave him.
Blooper.
We'll rough him up like Ace Ventura versus the Eagle, right? And then we just leave him on the streets of Manhattan and let the Pelican we'll drive him to Queens, and then we'll leave him on the streets of Queens. So we can work something out here. I like the way this is going.
The only reason
violence is the answer.
The only reason I'm even laughing about this is because I still genuinely hook me up to a polygraph and ask me this question. I'm giving you the truthful answer. Genuinely believe the Mets will win the division. If it doesn't happen, I probably will be horrendously mean to you that first day. I will be like Dave for a day where I will just say awful things about you for like 24 hours.
Speaking of awful things said, fellow Mets fan, Jerry Seinfeld went at our boy Timmy Trumpet. Everyone was in their fucking Wilpon feelings, the 2007 bad mojo, this and that. Listen, I'm a juju guy, but Jerry went on the SNY. Jerry Seinfeld, known fucking commenter of the
I can't
SNY.
believe Instagram comments is the craziest thing about this.
Jerry said, so SNY wrote, the Braves defeated the Athletics late last night. Today is for the first time since April 11th, which is crazy to think about. The Mets do not have sole possession of first place in the NL East. And then Jerry wrote, same as when the Baja Men showed up to play Let the Dogs Out in the 2000 World Series. Series ended right there. I blame that stupid Timmy Trumpet or that stupid Trumpet performance celebrating in season. We haven't won anything yet. Bad mojo. So Jerry Seinfeld versus Timmy Trumpet. Who you got? And I can't believe this is a real fucking thing.
Dude, we were talking about this. I was the most afraid of this. And even I was okay with Timmy Trumpet in the end because when it was happening, we were beating the Dodgers. The Timmy Trumpet series is when we're taking 2 out of 3 from the fucking Dodgers, including Edwin Diaz's best performance in weeks. So I think I got to be honest. I know this is like blasphemy, especially having a comedy podcast and whatnot. Seinfeld with like the old man yelling at the cloud shtick is kind of tough. Like he kind of just hates like everything. And I know that's kind of like the way I am. So I tip my cap, but it's also just like old grumpy, and I do agree with him. Like the Baja Men and all of the Mets PR mistakes that's always been the problem. And we were worried about it and it was there, but I don't know. Timmy Trumpet is different. I guess maybe there's a couple things going on. The Mets are awesome. And I don't think we really understood. I definitely didn't. I didn't understand Timmy Trumpet. Timmy Trumpet is like a global superstar. And I think I thought of him as just like the guy from the song, not realizing that he's like on stage every night in front of like arenas full of people fucking rocking parties. Like there's nothing like the Baja Men are lame. That was like stupid and like Mickey Mouse shit. I don't know whether it's the Mets are different. Timmy Trumpet's different. All I know is that after the Trumpets left was when the trouble started. So I don't know. I don't know where Seinfeld gets off with that. If it was, the National Series was when he was playing, I'd understand it. But to me, I think we're pushing our luck with bringing him in the playoffs for sure. That's a no doubter. But I don't think you can blame. By the way, blame this one series on Timmy Trumpet.
And where you also had Timmy, like you said, they beat the Dodgers 2 out of the 3 games. The Nationals, who the next day beat the fucking Cardinals 6-0. The Nationals just had that little blip of like remembering how to play baseball again. And then again, they sweep the fucking Pirates to end that whole Pirate series for the Mets. And we're just back to this. And Timmy Trumpet is, I don't know, 90% of the reason Edwin Diaz is a fucking nuclear weapon again, because we all forget that Edwin Diaz, 2019 Diaz without Timmy Trumpet was a real fucking problem. That was worse than any. And by the way, I'm going to just say this, Kev. I have a little bit of bone to pick with you, my friend. The Baja Men, that was an unnecessary ricochet shot.
Bro, come on.
Listen, the national anthem, I don't remember the national anthem. I guess they sang it. I don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out?
It was
still
awesome.
Fucking hits. Okay. My kids went to a minor league baseball game. They played Who Let the Dogs Out during one of their like in-between inning giveaways, and the people were running around. The rest of the fucking month, my kids are like, Alexa, play with the dogs out. I had Who Let the Dogs Out running crazy in this house. That fucking song is awesome.
Who Let the Dogs Out is awesome in that kind of reverse, this is so goofy that it becomes cool kind of way. So it's not like, whereas Timmy Trumpet is apparently this fucking, EDM drug party god, The Baja Men, it's like when your team is embracing like the goofy white people like dance at the wedding song, you don't exactly come across like badass, Also, I mean, I don't remember the national anthem at all either. I mean, it's kind of revisionist history. I don't think anyone was talking about the national anthem at the time being like the Mets are going to lose the World Series because of this. But like, can those guys actually sing, or was it like a horrible rendition of the national anthem? I don't think of the Baja Men for like their amazing pipes,
I'm looking. I want to see if this is like Mandela effect. If it actually
happened. Did this ever even happen? I do not remember this being a thing until like last year.
I feel like I remember In Sync singing one of them. In
Oh my
2000.
Oh,
That's
God.
the only one that like came to mind. When I
Four-way
was-
series?
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's bad for everybody.
Yep.
It
In-
says
in
here they
Queens or-
performed before Game 4 of the World Series, the Baja Men. So
I mean, both of them. Listen, NSYNC slaps too. So like, in retrospect, all of it's actually pretty cool. But at the time, it's like a boy band and like a joke band. You know.
Yep. NSYNC. Game 3. I think I was there. Yeah. Game 3.
Game 3 was in sync. Game 4 was the Baja Men.
They won Game 3. So
the Mets had juice back then. If we're getting in sync, fucking in 2000.
I mean, or that was when NSYNC had like one hit, and we're still like, yeah, we'll do the Mets game.
No way, man. In sync, that's like
03 was like prime,
that was
right?
Bleach Blonde Timberlake.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Timberlake,
That was the
yeah.
high-
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Mets were in the World Series, so they weren't the laughing stock. They had the juice.
I do think though, like there's a difference between the Baja Men, a one-hit wonder that's going crazy, and you ride that to the playoffs. Which again, how many of these teams ride these little gimmicky things, to their magical runs? Fucking Craig Kimbrel has Let It Go as his new entrance song. Has not given up a run since August 21st, since his daughter chose it out because it was like the
Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's terrible news.
This is terrible news. Yeah,
That is the one thing that I was like relying upon to maybe be their Achilles heel. Now he's not. That is horrible news, and I wish you didn't tell me that.
Phil's gonna go bet the Dodgers to win the World Series now. He hasn't given up a hit, Kevin. He hasn't given up a hit since August 21st.
He's not going to, Clem. He is going to retire every batter he faces now. I didn't know that. That's amazing. That's the type of shit that the sports gods reward. Fuck.
Now, what if they have Elsa or Adina? I don't know her name.
Dina
You have
Megill
Elsa
came out there?
fucking come out and just sing it for him. Like,
I think that you can't go. I mean, she is an amazing voice and talent and all that shit. I think they can do all the shit they want to do, and that's not bad juju at all. Fuck.
So, yeah, it's not great. I don't. And again, after I just said Seinfeld, shut up, fuck up the mojo. It's like, God damn it, kid. They fixed Craig Kimbrel just by changing his song that he walks into.
Let's just hope that Kenley Jansen doesn't switch his songs.
Yes.
We need that to continue as much as fucking possible. Jesus, that's all we got. That is the only thing that I'm like praying upon, that there's going to be a big blown save or something that hurts them, because that's
Timmy
the only way
Trumpet's
to lose.
performing at F1, I think, this weekend.
Saw
And he,
that.
like, tweeted it out, and he's like, "Oh, all the hard work is finally paying off." It's like you owe some sort of
So
royalty
much.
check to Edwin Diaz, because it
Absolutely.
is in like the stratosphere of it. You're not even just a sports fan anymore. Like, that song is just everywhere now.
Mhm.
It was at Alabama. He's gonna play F1. Like, every team is co-opting this, and like, sorry, dude, it's not
But-
work.
But I'll say this: it is, I would say that he's already like paid his price, if you will, in the form of Edwin Diaz having like the greatest fucking season of a closer ever. Like,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, he has earned all that he's getting from that song now.
Exactly.
waiting for it
F1
to hit
is
the
like
radio.
big.
I'm
F1 is
surprised
like
it's not,
international.
trending on Spotify.
Yeah, he is like international success level. That's a whole different stratosphere.
Phil said it best too about Jansen. The Braves are basically the opposite of us. They're the inverse of us when it comes to the bullpen, where everyone gets outs for them in the middle, and then the end is where the giant question mark is, where we just have to get to Diaz and everything's fine. But it's getting there.
How does a team so good and like so well run use that guy? Why don't they just make him like a seventh inning man? And
Well,
yeah.
they did trade for Rysdale Iglesias, who's been pretty good for them, and they got him because they traded Tucker Davidson and Jesse Chavez for him. Jesse Chavez had a 70 RA with the Angels. They DFA'd him. He made his way back to the Braves. So
I will say the one thing about Frank's absolute lunacy is it does seem everything just happens to work for the Braves, and it feels like teams are working with them, and then like the agents are working with them when they re-sign the guys. Out of all the nonsense he spews, there is like something where I'm like,
there's definitely
there's something up here.
there's something with 80, especially with this Jesse Chavez thing. He had an ERA of like 6 with the Cubs early in the year. Then he gets traded to the Braves. ERA's under 2. He gets traded to the Angels. ERA's up to 7. Gets released. Now he's back at the Braves. His ERA's back under 2. Like, no, he's throwing games on these other teams to just get
Absolutely.
back to Atlanta.
No, that's 100% what's happening. these agents and these guys signing these deals are, being forced to by some, at gunpoint or something. There's definitely something going on with the Atlanta Braves organization. That part, Frank, is no doubt spot on about. It's
Alex
Mets talk
Anthopoulos must have like a team of PIs that is just getting dirt on all these players and being like, here's the contract, sign it or we release the information. Like that's the level of how the fuck are they getting away with this? I saw the longest person that's going to be on contract is going to be 35 when his contract's done. And like 6 players combined are only going to be like $500 million.
It makes no sense how the players union allows it even. It's crazy.
I thought a volcano was going to blow up in Seattle with the Braves heading there next week and the series we moved to Atlanta.
That's our, by the way, I said Winker, I told him, if you guys beat the Braves, the Mets fans will love you even more than they already do. Seattle, I think, is going to be our saving grace. For some reason, I just don't feel like the Phillies are going to get it done. I don't know why. I at times I also think the Phillies are awesome, so I've sung their praises. But for just some reason, I just picture them not getting it done for us in that series. But I think on the West Coast, Mariners, I don't know. That might be the series where they falter. That has to otherwise it's not. It's got to be I posed this question on Twitter, and I want to see what you guys think. Would you rather have this schedule, or we get the Phillies? The Phillies have 4 and then 3 with them. What if we had that instead? What if we had 1 more
remaining first then, because they literally don't lose when it's not us.
It's crazy town, but I think I'd rather have a schedule where you face the Braves instead of the shitty teams, because we're the only team that at least sometimes does our work. Nobody else, the bad teams will not beat them. So I'd rather have control of our own destiny by facing them more.
63-24 since June 1st. 7 of those 24 losses are to us.
That's crazy. We're the only team that can consistently beat them.
People think we're nuts for talking about how annoying it is to see the Braves just keep winning. It's if you see those stats, you can't worry about other teams not helping you out. It's no, literally nobody helps us out.
Nobody helps ever. It's not even to the tune of winning a game, let alone a series. They just all get swept. It's bananas.
The Braves lose two games in a week. I'm like, oh, thank God they cooled off.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't think it's people stop whining and complaining. It's it's not whining to say that I want to face the Braves more. And also people doing the rent-free thing. The rent-free thing doesn't work when they're in the division. They're all you think about is the Braves. It's they're the team that we're going up against. Yeah, I think about them all the time, you fucking morons. They're the 2 teams that matter, the Mets and the Braves. It only barely works with the Yankees and teams out of the division.
It bothers me much more that they won last year too, and they're thumping their chest. More credit to you, you won the World Series. You weren't meant to win the World Series last year. You got hot at the right time because that's how baseball works. So
with 2 guys who are not even there now,
right?
You know what I mean? If it was if Austin Riley and Acuna won you that series, fine. But it's 2 guys who you just rented, who mashed, and then they're gone.
To play over 800 ball, and now you're going against the Mariners and the Phillies, who are literally just fighting for their lives to get into the postseason, though. All of those games are going to be life or death for them. So I think that they're just going to throw the kitchen sink. They should be anyway, but it's a heightened level of now you have to play postseason baseball, and you're not playing against fucking schleps week after week after week.
I'm convinced there's a mini Patrick Ewing theory with Ronald Acuna. It's when he plays an MVP, the team's awful. When he's out or when he's playing mid,
never lose. He's not that scary. I know he's not. I know he's hurt right now, but he's not the one that I'm really all that worried about. It's everybody else.
He's maybe their 6th or 7th best player.
Do they play the Mariners and the Phillies back to back or close to each other?
No, they play.
That's what sucks too.
There's a Nats.
It's never a prolonged. It's always they have enough time to gear up for a series against the bad team.
Mariners, Nats, Phillies, Nats, us.
I feel like there's going to be a Nats game in between, in the middle of the Philly series. They're just going to put a Nats game as the nightcap. They always have to face the Nats at some point. A Stark must always be in Winterfell, and the Nats must always be playing the Braves at some point during the week.
It's 9 straight now. It's at Seattle, at Giants, home versus Philly.
That's not terrible. They're not the worst.
convincing yourself that the A's are going to be like, we're all doing the mental gymnastics. So when the A's got out to that early, I was like, oh my God, let's fucking go. There's some pitcher. I have no clue who he is. He must be awesome if he's on the A's. And then, same shit happened.
Implosion.
But in the end, like I've said, all we have to do is worry about ourselves and like let all that other shit go as it may. And that basically just comes down to just don't get hurt. We had 2 injuries pop up. Starling Marte day-to-day with a fucking fracture. A day-to-day fracture.
I think people aren't talking about that because of the Scherzer IL. Marte, I almost wish he had an injury that he could go away and fix, because he's going to try to play through this, and it's just going to linger into the postseason. I almost would you if Marte was shut down till the postseason, and let's say we lose the division, we get the wild card, but he is fully healthy for the postseason versus him trying to gut it out and play like Lindor did for a month with a broken hand. What would you prefer?
So wait, what was it again?
Like Lindor played through this same fracture, but he stunk. He gutted it out, but he had a bad 3 weeks. So would you rather Marte do that right now and keep battling and we have Marte in the lineup, or shut him down, let him get fully healthy for October, but losing a guy like Marte probably ends up costing you the division?
You go, Phil.
I probably want them to place him on a 10-day injured list just to be safe, because it's a non-displaced partial fracture. It's not like it's a full break or anything. I'm not going to be a doctor. It's not something where it's he's going to be out a month regardless. I think they should just give him a rest of 10 days.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe not out till the postseason, but I think they should just rest him for 10 days. Yeah. If it was September 20th and it was the last 10 days of the year, maybe not. But rest him now, and maybe you get a healthy, real good push for him. And if it ends up costing you, injuries happen.
Tyler Naquin to keep hitting like he did yesterday. It may not make a difference whatsoever.
Dude, that was talk about, and again, I know Naquin hasn't been consistently nails, but when we've needed him most, that guy's been there. So fuck anybody trying to knock Epler for that one, because at the times we needed him most, he just blasts 3-run home runs all the time.
Yep. And I said about Vogelback too. Let Vogelback struggle now. I want my guys slumping a little now when it's against the Pirates. Granted, I'd like them to lose to the fucking Nationals as they're doing it, but let these guys struggle now and let them just get red fucking hot. Eduardo Escobar getting hot now. That's a beautiful thing to watch. And it feels right that guys like Naquin and Escobar are just kicking the shit out of the Pirates.
Watch out for Escobar. I'm telling you, man. Watch out for Escobar.
The Pirates are actually, I forgot to put it in the email, but when they shifted on Jeff McNeil after he had a double down the line oppo, and then they shifted completely again for Pull, and I was like, they might be worse than the Nationals.
They're crazy.
They are fucking the clip where the coaches aren't hitting fungos, they're putting the ball in the machine to throw ground balls to them. I was like, what kind of fucking major league team is this? The fact that we lost that first one, we got to wash it away, but thank God they're coming back to town, because there's no way that we should lose any more games to the Pirates.
In the words of Keith Hernandez, second division teams, if you give them long enough time, they'll reveal themselves as second division teams, and that's exactly what the Pirates did. And shout out to that umpire that just squeezed the living shit out of that starter.
Oh, that was insane. I was listening. I was listening in the car, and then I saw a little bit of it. Howie was like, ball 4 to Pete Alonso, I guess. And Wayne Randazzo was like, I don't know where that pitch was right over the plate. So then I was like, what? How bad could it be? And then I saw some of them, and I was like, oh my God, these are directly down the fucking middle. That was insane.
Pete, I was waiting to get punched out. He waited there for 5 fucking seconds. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And listen, we've complained about the umpires in the past. Usually it goes both ways, which you can live the guys just calling the inside strike all day, and it's way too inside. But that one pitcher got who was it, Oviedo? Was it Oviedo who got motherfucked? And it's that guy isn't really ready for it. Seems like he has command issues.
That sucks. That guy, he went 1 1/3 and threw 60 pitches and had 5 walks. And it was just because an ump said, fuck you, kid. That sucks. And then I swear to God, that guy had money on the Mets or something, because he just didn't call it the same way.
I don't feel bad because, when you walk James McCann, you deserve everything that comes to you.
That is true.
Speaking of which, our girl Aunt Mary nailed it again, nailed both games, told us, I think Bassett's a Pisces and Jake's a Gemini. And she also said, my Gemini McCann's going to have a good day. People don't want to hear it. And all McCann does is getting on base and scoring runs.
If you can predict James McCann having a good day, you are a witch or a warlock. That is impressive how she nailed that. That's crazy.
When we say witch, we mean like Glenda, the nice witch
like
from
a good
Wizard
witch.
of Oz. Yeah, the
Yeah.
good witch. Aunt Mary, by the way, has said she would come on the podcast if she could figure it out how to get on. So she said after the Mets clinch, though. So we're going to figure out how her dark arts work. I want to figure out how to monetize these things. So she has them so early to the game. It's hard to get my bets in responsibly.
I know. Yeah, that's our crystal ball. We imagine we just had Aunt Mary in the basement feeding us bets.
It's like what kind of like a Jacob deGrom start. So Jacob deGrom, like say over K's, Mets win the game against the Pirates. So you're like thinking like, oh, that's like a minus 200 bet still. And then James McCann getting a hit, it's like plus 3,000 basically at that point.
Congrats to James McCann for getting his batting average over 200 for the first time all season. He's
as long as you're trending up right now, that's all I care about, man. What if we do, before the season ends, Clem, let's do one of our parlays with James McCann getting a hit and see what the number is.
So I'll look to see. I believe Gemini's hit Pisces, Kevin. So I have to go and look to see when the next time we face a Pisces is. Okay. A good Pisces man. We were talking Sagittariuses the other day. I forgot Sagittariuses existed, but I'm telling you, like, there's something to, as much as I hate like the idea of the Zodiac and how it like is real, all she does is win. She wins big every single time. And then the last thing we had to touch on, obviously we touched on it real quick. Scherzer getting hurt, the oblique. Again, he says it's a days thing, not a weeks thing. And you'd rather save than sorry.
Put me on the nervous list.
You're on the nervous list?
Yes.
You're in the kitchen. You're in the proverbial kitchen
when
right
it comes to Max Scherzer. I think he is a consummate professional and an absolute gamer and doesn't want to show weakness. And that's why when he does take himself out of games, I think it's a big deal because he's that kind of guy. I know he's like, I want to be smart about it. So like there's the smart Max Scherzer and the gamer Max Scherzer. And I think for the smart Max Scherzer to overtake the gamer Max Scherzer, it's got to still be like a pretty significant feeling. And so I don't know. Because he's also had a couple outings where he didn't take himself out, but he gave up a bunch of hits and it was a little bit unlike him. So like we haven't seen that nails version of him in a little while. That scares me.
I mean, just what he said there, it's like he does owe it to his guys. Like if he goes out there and gets hurt and is out for the playoffs, like he knows he's the asshole. And he even said he regretted the first oblique injury because he felt it and didn't say anything.
Right.
And he felt like he let the team down in that way.
Right.
So I'm just going to take Max at his word. He'll be back in 2 starts, and I think he'll get maybe 2 or 3 starts for the playoffs.
That'll be everything. To me, like, I don't doubt that he'll be back after 2 starts. What I'm worried about is what those 2 or 3 starts after look like. Mm-hmm. And if he's still hurt or struggling or whatever, then I panic. Like Mets, if injuries are the only thing that can send me to panic city, because that obviously means everything. And we've withstood every injury this year, but losing one of those guys right before the playoffs, then that's the sky's falling.
Spin zone, left-hand side is better than right-hand side because he's a righty. So it's not going to like affect his like velocity necessarily. I think it's more so like that's why we've seen him falling off late in the innings where he loses his control late in the game. But he's also 38 years old and ring chasing. So if he's going, I need to just make sure, put him in a cryo chamber for all
for real
until the postseason.
That's what I'm saying.
Roll him out there like the Winter Soldier.
I wish we were either up or down like 7 games. Part of me because it's like it might be better to just fucking gear up as the wild card, But we have this dangling carrot, and it's like I don't know.
It's tricky. I take Max at his word. Remember when he was like, everyone settled down, like my dog nibbled my hand. How many times has Duncan sniped you, Kev, by the way? I feel like that's a thing that happens with dogs, right? That's just a thing.
All the time.
And the best thing about this with Max, like Taiwan, I might not be in the same boat. Max just got his fucking big payday. He already has a World Series. He has nothing else to do but to win more. And I think he's kind of a psychopath when it comes to that kind of shit.
Nuts.
So
and Taiwan Walker, I don't know what that man has to do. Maybe he needs to do like every 6 days in the first half of the season and spread out his starts or something. I mean, he just can't pitch in the second half. I don't know what. Maybe we should trade him at the deadline and then they can DFA him and he can make his way back with some Braves magic because the second half is just he just can't do it.
This is 2 years in a row now where it's like he has an ERA over 6 after the All-Star break.
And you just see these pitches that are just like right over the fucking plate. It's like, what are we doing, man? So I don't know.
Touch on this as well. Medina DFA'd. We had DeMontis on or whatever. He did not look great. However, there are reinforcements in the minors. Our boy Tyler Megill right now, 3.18 ERA, not great. However, his FIP, xFIP, which is kind of like the advanced ERA, 1.83.91. He's dealing, and his K/9 is 17.47.
He's striking motherfuckers out.
The big drip is dripping all over those AA motherfuckers right now.
Remember those days, the big drip days were so awesome. He was a big part of that in the beginning, and I think he'll be a big part coming back.
Big drip kind of plays better as a bullpen too, right? Doesn't big drip play better in the bullpen?
Yep.
A big guy like that who can just come in and gas you for an inning? Fuck yeah.
He started a combined no-hitter back in April. We forget about that.
Yeah.
He was the opening day starter on like a 2 days notice and comes out and throws a gem. He went down with that injury, and we all instantly wrote him off. We're like, all right, we're not going to see him again this year. And he sees how good the team is, and he works his way back. You always want a guy who's just like, I missed out on so much of the season that I need to come back and contribute.
And be a postseason like hero? Fuck yeah, let's go.
That's how long baseball season is. I totally forgot Tyler Megill started opening day.
It's a stupidly long sport. It's crazy.
And we get to bring Mama Megill back into the fold, and her tweets are going crazy. That's a good juju thing for the playoff run as well. So yeah, moving on here, we have the Marlins for 3 games. Peterson, right? Peterson's going to be pitching on Friday. It's not announced, it looks like, but I imagine
either Peterson or Trevor Williams. I'm going to lean Peterson. So.
Peterson, Cabrera, Carrasco, Lopez, Walker, Luzardo, Clem, who I haven't really been following the Marlins. They're all like 3 ERA. They're fucking Marlins pitchers. If it's not Sandy, it's just these other fucking guys who could keep them in a ball game. Again, thank God we don't have to deal with Aguilar anymore. He's on the Orioles, I believe, right? The Orioles picked him up. So
I would have grabbed him, by the way. I would have grabbed that guy.
I like him as the juju as well. I definitely do. The O's are just building their team on juju. Like
they are 100% run on juju. They're like the fucking DeLorean from the future where you can just put garbage in. They just put juju in, and that thing can fucking time travel to the playoffs. It's amazing.
It's incredible. So again, at this point, if the offense goes to sleep, it's like good enough pitchers, but the offense like keep rolling. I wish they actually were playing tonight. And the only thing is then they'd be playing Sandy Alcantara, who's pitching against the Phillies. So we don't have to face Sandy for once. That's a win in itself.
We need to win every single series from here on out. If not, sweep a couple of them, or we don't win them.
I say even winning every series may not even be enough.
Yeah, going through that schedule and seeing that they've only had 1 7-game winning streak and 2 6-game winning streaks for an on pace for 100 wins.
It's crazy. That's just,
it doesn't happen.
It's bad, but it's also like they're just crazy consistent. They don't ever lose more than 3 in a row, which is great for the playoffs, by the way, because if you lose 4 in a row, you're out. So like it might play better, but right now, boy, it would be nice to get, a double-digit winning streak in there.
So gear up, nut up, put the fucking dick on the table, ready to rock, flush all the fucking losers who canceled the last couple games before the doubleheader in Pittsburgh. Get them out of your life. Like Rico said, we're in the foxhole now. Everyone tying up. We're like 300, right? What do they call that in 300 when they're like becoming like the wall or whatever? Yeah. That's what we have to do. Fucking.
We're like we're not the 300. We're the 128. All those original guys. Lock your shields together. Fucking let's go. Nut up.
Nut up.
Is flushing.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.